Snow fell endlessly over the tundra of Arivos, a pale, lightless world where the twin moons gave no warmth and only predators thrived. The Varen clan, a race of furred, fong-mouthed hunters, huddled in their cave dwellings that night, mourning in silence. Their young, 5 cubs, barely old enough to walk, had been lost in the blizzard 2 nights ago. The storm had come down from the northern cliffs faster than any scout could predict, swallowing trails and scent alike. Even the strongest trackers returned empty-handed. Now the cave fires burned low, and the air was thick with grief. The alpha, Karel, sat before the central flame, her claws digging grooves into the stone. Her mate, Druv, had not spoken since dawn. The entire pack moved with the heaviness of despair until a faint, rhythmic sound echoed down the tunnel. Footsteps. Slow, dragging, and distinctly human. The beginning. The stranger in the snow. Karel's ears twitched. She rose to her full height, a towering silhouette of fur and sinew, and bared her fangs. "Guards," she hissed. At the gate. The sentries drew their spears as a shadow appeared at the entrance, a figure staggering through the drifting snow. It was humanoid, wrapped in a torn survival cloak, chest heaving, eyes sunken from exhaustion. Behind him movement, Karel's breath caught. In his arms, bundled in makeshift wraps of his own coat, were the missing cubs. He stumbled 2 more steps, then fell to his knees. The cubs whimpered softly, pressing against his chest. Steam rose from their tiny muzzles as warm breath met the frozen air. He tried to speak, his lips blue, found them near the gorge. They were almost frozen. The guards hesitated, glancing at their alpha. Karel stepped forward slowly, eyes narrowing. "Why?" she demanded, her voice low and dangerous. "Why would a human cross a storm for what is not his?" The man smiled faintly, almost delirious, because no one else was coming. Then he collapsed. The middle, the fire and the fear. When the human woke, the first thing he saw was light, the orange flicker of flame against a stone ceiling. For a moment, he thought he was dead. Then the ache in his limbs reminded him otherwise. "You breathe still," came a deep voice. He turned his head. Karel crouched nearby, the massive predator watching him with unblinking golden eyes. The cubs slept beside him, wrapped in pelts. Someone had cleaned their fur and fed them. One tiny paw rested against his arm as though refusing to let go. "I'm alive," he murmured. "Didn't expect that." Karel's nostrils flared. "You should not be. Humans do not survive Arivos storms." He chuckled weakly. "Guess I'm not a very good human then." She tilted her head. "You speak of care and risk your life for another species. Why?" The man looked into the fire, memories flickering behind his eyes. "My name's Elias Juno, surveyor for Outpost 17. I had a daughter once. She died on Terra after the quake. Couldn't save her. When I saw your cubs, I couldn't walk away again." Karel said nothing for a long time. The fire popped. Then slowly she spoke. "Among my kind, dead is sacred. You saved blood of my blood. You are not prey to this clan." Elias smiled faintly. "That's comforting." But he noticed something else. The way some of the Varen eyed him from the shadows, claws flexing. To them, a human was still an alien intruder, untrusted even when he had done the impossible. The conflict, when mercy becomes threat. Over the following days, Elias recovered strength. The cubs followed him constantly, tugging at his jacket, clambering onto his lap. He repaired one of the clan's broken thermal lamps using his field kit, earning the cubs' delighted growls. Even Karel's mate, Druv, softened toward him. But not all hearts changed. The elder warrior Tarn, who had lost his own cub to a human patrol years ago, muttered darkly. He plays kind to hide the trap. They always do. Soon the sky ships will come. Rumors spread quickly in a close pack. That night, as the aurora flared above the cave mouth, Elias sat near the fire, tinkering with a damaged scanner. The cubs were asleep again, one curled on his lap. Karel approached quietly. You plan to leave? He looked up. Once the storm passes. I don't want to overstay my welcome. She nodded, though something unreadable flickered across her face. The young will not understand. They think you are family. Elias smiled sadly. Kids always do. Outside, unseen by them, Tarn and two others watched. Their claws tightened on their weapons. Tomorrow, Tarn growled. Before the human brings ruin upon us. The turning point, blood in the snow. Dawn came white and silent. Elias was outside, gathering frozen scrap to patch a breach in the outer vent. The wind bit into him, but the clear sky made him hopeful. The storm had broken. He could finally return to Outpost 17. Then he heard the growl. He turned. 3 Varen warriors stood in a semicircle, spears drawn, eyes hard. Tarn, Elias said carefully. What are you doing? The elder's voice was low and trembling with rage. You walk among us as if kin. You touch our young. You reek of false mercy. Humans took my child. I will not let one take more. Elias raised his hands. I don't want your territory, your cubs, nothing. The spear thrust came fast. He dodged, the point grazing his shoulder. Pain flared. Stop. Karel's voice thundered across the clearing. She had followed the scent of conflict, arriving just in time. Lay down your weapons. Tarn hesitated, fury in his eyes. He is danger. You feel it too. Karel's growl was deep enough to shake snow from the cliff walls. He returned what we lost. Strike him, and you strike your alpha. Silence. The warriors lowered their spears slowly. Elias stood shivering, blood seeping from his jacket, breath ragged. The cubs appeared behind Karel, crying out for him. Karel approached, towering over him. You bleed because of us, she said softly. Elias smiled faintly. Guess we're even now. The middle climax, the rescue. That night, Outpost 17 sent a distress beacon. A supply craft had gone down in the tundra not far from the Varen caves. Despite his wound, Elias volunteered to guide Karel's hunters to the crash site. The ship carried medical nanites both species needed to survive the cold season. The wind howled again, icy and cruel. Elias trudged forward, teeth chattering. Karel moved beside him in silence, her breath forming clouds. When they reached the wreck, raiders were already there. Off-world scavengers stripping the cargo. Plasma bolts tore through the snow, and Karel's pack launched themselves forward in fury. Elias dove behind a wrecked panel, firing short bursts from his sidearm. The cubs' laughter and warmth were the only things that drove him on. One scavenger aimed at Karel. Elias saw it too late. He lunged, taking the shot meant for her. It hit his side, knocking him backward into the snow. Karel roared, tearing the scavenger apart in a single movement. When the battle ended, she dropped to Elias's side. He coughed, blood freezing on his lips. You owe me another debt now, he whispered, smirking weakly. Her golden eyes shone, fierce and sorrowful. No, she said. Now we are family. The ending. The fire returns. Elias survived. Barely. The clan's healers used the nanites from the wreck to close his wounds, though the scars would never fade. When spring came to the tundra, a faint, fleeting warmth, he stood at the cave mouth, watching the cubs chase each other through the melting snow.